Hey everyone, this is Anthony. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to multiply real numbers. And in the previous videos, we've talked about how to add and subtract real numbers. This one, we're going to talk about how to multiply them. And before we go into the actual multiplication and the rules on how to multiply, I want to show you how you'll know that you're supposed to multiply. Because in the case of addition, we saw that the two numbers, let's say -2 and 4, they were separated by a plus sign. For subtraction, they were separated by a minus sign. All right. Now, for multiplication, you're going to see it in one of two ways. You'll see it with parentheses, and you'll notice that these parentheses are right next to each other. All right. There's nothing in between. So, like, for instance, the addition could have also been written like this. But as you know, and as you observe, there's a plus in between the two parentheses. So parentheses next to each other means multiplication. If there's something in between, all right, well, then just whatever this says. If it's a plus, we add. If it's a minus, we subtract. All right. The second way that you might see multiplication, whoops, I didn't mean to put the parentheses there, is if you see a small dot right in the middle between the two numbers. All right. So these two ways both mean multiplication. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the different ways we're going to know if it's positive or negative. So if we have a positive times a positive, or if we have a negative times a negative, these will both result in a positive answer. Now, if we have one positive times one negative, all right, in either order, these will both result in the negative answer. Okay. All right, let's take a look at a couple of examples. So let's say we have -3 times -2. All right. So first, what I like to do is I like to get an idea of what our answer is going to be in the sense of positive or negative. We see negative and negative. Negative times negative means we're going to have a positive. All right. You don't need to put a plus sign for the positive. It's implied that it's a positive, like for instance up here, it's a +4. All right. So there's a couple ways we can do this. If you know from your multiplication tables, 3 times 2 is equal to 6. Or you can make 3 rows of 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, because multiplication is just addition. All right, and we see that our answer is 6. Now you could have also made, rather than 2 rows of 3, you could have made 3 rows of 2, and we would see that we get this the same thing. All right, either way. All right, let's take a look at another example. Let's say we have -4 times 1. All right, just basic, but we're just getting some practice. All right, -4 times 1, we see that one of the numbers is negative, the other one's positive, so it's going to fall into this category over here. Our answer is going to be negative, and then now we just have 4 times 1, which is equal to 4. All right, and if you want, you can make 1 row of 4 or 4 rows of 1, and we see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, our answer is -4. All right, let's take a look at another example. This one's going to be slightly different. All right, let's say we have -1/2 times 3/4. All right, in this case, we have fractions. Fractions are still real numbers. All right, and we're going to treat them the same way. We're going to start, we have a negative times a positive, which from our little chart up here, negative times a positive will result in a negative. And now, the trick with multiplying fractions is, in my mind, I like to extend these two fractions, and I like to make one big fraction. All right, and now that multiplication, we're going to multiply the two numbers in the numerator. We're going to multiply the two numbers in the denominator. All right, so negative 1 times 3. We know that's going to be a negative number. Negative 1 times 3, 1 row of 3, 1, 2, 3. We get negative 3 in the numerator. Our fraction that we elongated, we're going to just bring over here. And now we have 2 times 4. 2 times 4, positive 2 times positive 4. It's a positive number, and then we're going to have 2 rows. Oop. Yeah. 4 rows and 2 columns, or we can make it the other way. Oh, there we go. And we see 8. 2 times 4, 8. All right, there we have it. Let's do one more example. All right, let's say we have 2/5. Actually, let's make it negative 2/5. And we're going to multiply by negative 10 over 3. All right, so let's see. Negative times negative is going to result in a positive. All right, we're going to extend our fraction. All right, so because we know this is going to be a positive, we don't need the negatives anymore. 2 times 10 from our multiplication tables is 20, or we can write it out. And we've got 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. Now, this is a perfectly fine answer. This is equivalent to what the simplified answer would be if you want to simplify. All right, we can see what number goes into both 15 and to 20, and we see that 5 goes into each. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 5 goes into 15 3 times, and so this simplifies also to 4 over 3. All right. In the next video, we'll talk more about how to divide fractions, and that will help us to simplify these a little bit easier. So I hope this helps.